Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel AI Discoveries. Today I'll be talking about the fast APIs. So what this fast API is basically is used for? This is basically used for creating an APIs where you can use into IT industries for the consumer, for the developer to implement or develop the APIs. We generally use, there are different ways or different platforms to use to create the APIs, but I'll be talking about a fast API today and in Python. So how we can implement those things. So let's start with that. In that I'll be talking about the four pillars of REST API, where how we can create those four pillars like get activity, post activities, put activities, and delete activities. So I'll be taking all these four pillars at the different video series. So I'll be talking about today. I'll start with that get and the post activity. Let's start with that. So I'll be opening the Visual Studio Code where I'll be walking through how you can actually implement those things in the Python. So let me go with that. Let's come to the Visual Studio Code. Now with that you can see here I can walk you through that. You can see here there are different files like the requirement.txt and obviously the Python file where we will be implementing our fast API. Now to start with that, I'll start with the requirement.txt. What is the required libraries that is required to implement with that? So obviously this is the fast API. Obviously this library is used for implementing the APIs, and obviously the Ubicon is there, which is basically running the fast API based script. And this is the pandatic which is basically I am using this for the creating a class, and under that I'll be inheriting the base model where I'll be setting up the different parameters to store the information like the name, the location, and the duration of that. So all these parameters I'll be using it. So let me start with that. Now to save the time, I'll be just taking up all these files and everything. So I'll be taking this dependence imports, or I can say that the libraries which is required to start with. So I'll walk you through one by one. So what these other libraries are doing it. So obviously this fast API, this is the main module, the class I would say. Under that there is a function called fast API where we will be using the object of it. This is one, the pandatic which I'm using for the base model to import, and this is typing from there I'm importing the list, and this is the Ubicon I'll be taking up. Now with that, after that I'll be creating the object of the fast API. So I'll be taking this object of the fast API. I'm just doing the copy paste just for the time convenience, and the video should not be lengthy in the terms of typing it. So I have already created this object of the fast API. Now I'll be talking about the class, the class activity. You can keep the name of any class name just for the understanding purpose. I just kept it as an activity. You can keep any name. So under this class I am just storing the name, location, and duration, so that we can cover all these parameters, string and the int values, obviously. Now after that there would be a list where we can actually store the post activities data. Obviously when we are doing the get activities, we are kind of fetching some data, and the post activities is generally some adding some data into there. So this is one where we actually storing it. So this is the basic way of creating the API. Later on, during once we are comfortable with this basic way of creating the API, I'll take up the advanced topics on how we can link the databases and everything. So yeah, so this is the post activities I'll be taking up. So here is the post activities, what you can see here. This is the object of the fast API, and what activities we are doing in the post activities. And this is the for namesake as an endpoint URL. I'm just keeping it as, you can keep anything, like you can keep a task or anything, or any string you wanted to have it, have it. And the response model would be obviously the activity, which is the name, its location, and duration. Now in the function of this create activities, the post activities, I'll be talking here what is the parameter is I'm taking the this activities as a parameter. So when I'm talking about the activities as a parameter, actually I'm taking this parameter name, location, and duration, and then after that, what I'm doing is I'm just appending these to this particular list, and then I'm returning what is the activities I have added it. Now once I come back to the get activities, so again the scenario would be the same. In the get activities again, using the object of the fast API, I'll be using it, and then again what activities you are doing it. Let me just remove this just for the confusion. Otherwise it would be difficult to understand what is the URL for the get activities, what is the URL for the post activities. Now here in this response model would be the list of the activities. So here whatever the data we are storing into this list, it will popped up popping up when we are doing the get activities. So here you can see that it is returning this activities. This is basically this list. So this is one. Now to run these activities, obviously we require this to understand to run that. So there are many ways you can actually run that. Just for the time and simplicity of running the Python file, I'm just using this run. Even when you are even in the future when I'm using Docker for implementing and adding this for that, then in that case the ubicon will help me to understand that. So here in this line I can say that, and the port is 8000, the export port is 8000 on a, and this is the default default IP, I would say. I can say that localhost. So I'll give 1.270.0.1. So this is the local host. I can keep the local host, or you can keep this IP. This would be the same. Now let me run through that. So to start with that, um, before running that, you just need to activate the Python environment. So this is the Python environment pyenv, which is I already created it. So I just need to activate that. So how to activate that? You just need to take that you should be local to that location, and py environment script and activate. Once you give that, it will activate the environment. Now once you are done with that, you just need to start with the downloading the requirement.txt which you have defined it. So in the how you can define it as, like, just need to give pip install -r requirement.txt. So once you give that, it will start downloading it. So yeah, probably it is already you can see here it is already set up. I have already downloaded all those libraries, so I don't require that. Now I'll just give clear, and I'll just give uh, Python, and then run that. So get post activities, I'll be running it. So let me save this first, and then I'll be running that. So once I run that, obviously it will get started, and I can see this is the one. I can open it. So once I open this, once I come back to this point, this is nothing. This is doing the get activity. There's nothing, so I can just do that. So from the browser you can do the get activities, but yeah, obviously I'll walk you through the get and post activities using the postman. But yeah, let's suppose you wanted to have a Swagger file. So in that case you can give this the default URL, and then docs. If you give that, it will give you the Swagger file. So now you can see here, this is the post activities and the get activities I have defined over here, and you can see that what are the parameters is required. So request body is required, and for the get activities it is defined with the other activities. Now once you are done with that, let me walk you through the postman activities. So now you can see here I have just taken that default URL and the endpoint of this now, and this is the my body. in the body you can see here, this is the JSON parameters, this is the name I have kept it, location and duration, and this is the JSON type, and I'm doing the post activities. If you want, you can comment whether I wanted to whether I need to take the uh, postman learning or not, or postman video or not. Just comment on that. But yeah, let's start with that. So I'll start with this get activities. You can see here, so this is the get activities. I don't have any other parameters, so this is one. So once I give that, it is giving null value because I didn't posted any value. So let me post one value. So once I post this value, let me just do that send. So yeah, so you can see here, this is the values I just posted in it. So now I'll do the get activities. Once I do the get activities, obviously I'll be able to fetch the whatever the data I have added it. Now let's suppose let me add one more data. I love AI. I love AI discoveries. Location, let me give that Delhi, and the duration would be, I would say 20 minutes, and let me add that. Then again it will add I love AI discoveries and location Delhi, everything. And when I do the get activities, obviously it will fetch along with this data, the previous data, it will fetch you all the details. So today I'll be talking about the continuation of get and post activities. So in the continuation of that, so there will be put activity and there will be the delete activities, as I already mentioned in previous video. So these are the main four pillars, I can say that, with respect to the API. There are obviously there would be another, but yeah, with respect to the four pillars we generally use them. So I can say that get activity, post activities, now put and delete activities. So I'll be taking you through all those activities and how we can actually implement as an API, and how we can actually perform. So let's start with that. So I'll be taking you to Visual Studio Code, where I will show you how to implement that. This is the basic series of how we can start with these activities. Obviously later on video I'll be taking up the advanced concept in the terms of the security, in the terms of how we can actually attach any storage or any files. So that is the thing. So let's start with that. So yeah, let's come to this point. So as you can see here, uh, I already defined about the post activity and the get activities. So let's start with this put activity. So obviously, as I mentioned earlier, for the learning purpose, I don't want to keep the videos lengthy just by typing it. So I'll be just keeping as a simple and sober. So I'll just copy and take this delete function, where I can just showcase how it can actually put that. So obviously you can see here the security fast API. I'm just working on it. There will be videos coming up on that. So yeah, so I'll just remove that. So let's come to this point. So yeah, so with this delete activities, you can see here what this actually delete activity is obviously defined as. This is the uh, this is the object of the fast API, and this is the activity, what activities we are performing it. Then accordingly we will be doing that. Here the activity ID is defined as the what activity ID, like in the JSON, when we are creating the JSON, when we are doing the post activities, there will be JSON created. So under the JSON there would be list number 0, where the JSON will be get stored. For the list number 2, the other JSON will be get stored. So in that way it will get added. So we need to give the ID of 0, 1, 2, 3, which list number you wanted to delete it, so that it will delete it. So this is what it is given over there. And with respect to these, obviously when it comes to the function, what is the parameter it is accepting is, it is the int activities, which I mentioned over here. And then after that it is checking about if the entered activity ID is less than 0 or more than the ID length of the what's stored in this activity, then it will throw an error. So this is the exception I'm handling it. And then after that, if nothing in this is the else condition, where I'm kind of popping out, this is the list, this dot pop out, and the activity ID. So accordingly, according to the ID, I'll be popping out and deleting it. So and in return, which what is the activity ID I have deleted it, so that it will showcase. So this is how we implement delete activities. Obviously, if you wanted to implement add anything, this is the function. You can add anything, any function you can call it over here. That is not an issue. Just for the basic understanding, just for the beginners who wanted to understand how the API basic APIs got created, then this is the one. Obviously, later on we'll take up the advanced topics. Yeah, so here also for the put activities, obviously what is this put activities? Basically, um, it is just kind of updating the data. So whatever the existing data we have, so we just need to, let's suppose you wanted to update that data. So in that way, you can update the data. Like what you can do is, like, you can just put the activity ID, which activity ID you wanted to update it, and then after that, once you give that, then after that, what is the data you wanted to update it. Like this is defined in which ID you wanted to update it, but here what is the data you wanted to update it. So accordingly, it will update it. Here this is the parameter it is taking it. Activity, this activity is basically the name, description and duration. Let me keep it as a location. Last video have taken it, location. So this is how it defined. So here in this update activity, it will take it up, and again it is checking about the what is the ID it is talking about, and if it is less than or greater than that, then it will throw an exception, and after otherwise it will just go to the list, and whatever the updated data is coming, it will just update it, and it will in return it will showcase what is the data it got updated it. And let's talk about this thing. We need to give HTTP exception because we are getting some warning. So let's come back and give to the fast API. So let me just give that. Sorry. So now this is the exception, we haven't handled it in the import. So that is how we have handled it. Now let's come to this. Now we are done with this implementation with the delete and the post activity, put activities. Now I'll showcase how we can actually perform, how we can test these activities. Let's come back to, let's run that. So let me come back to terminal, new terminal. Now here in the new terminal, yeah, so the new terminal, it is opening about the fast API. Let me go to, let me just first activate the activate this environment. So with that, we just need to give pyenv/script. So now my environment is activated. Now as you can see that this is the path of the file. So you can see here in the fast API in the files, so the files is, it is in this files folder. So let me just go to that files, and once I come back, let me show. Now that is the one. Now you can see here, this is the requirement.txt, which I already informed about the fast API, Rubicon, Pandatic. So I already mentioned about what are these libraries and what is the use of it. So but you can refer my previous video and you can understand for that, like what is that. So now let me just run through that. Python post activities. Now this started with that. Now it will run on the port number 8000, and this is the how we can actually test this API what we have implemented it. So let's go to the browser. Let's go to the browser first, and let's see. We can put that 127, and when I give that, if you see here, it is doing the get activities. As of now we don't have any data, so let's start with the Swagger file. How we can get the Swagger file? I just need to give the docs. Once I come to the docs, I can see here all those activities which is we have implemented it. So you can see here, this is the post activities. They have defined about what is the required parameter, request body, and this is the example they have given that in the form of what is the parameter and the parameter type, and along with that response, what you will get in the response. So this is how upon successful execution you will be getting this. Now when it comes to the get activities, you don't have any parameters, and obviously in return you will be getting this kind of data. Now along with now in the delete activities, you can see here they are talking about activities ID, which activity ID we need to delete it, and what is in return you will be seeing that this is the data it got deleted. So this is how. And when it comes to the put activities, you can see here they are talking about what is the activities we are wanted to update with that. And you can see here, this is activity ID, this is the string, the request body, where what is the data we wanted to update it, and response it will say okay, this is the data it got updated. So this is how we can see in the Swagger file. Now let's come to the Postman, where we can actually test this API. Once we come back to this Postman, initially I can showcase here we don't have any data. So here the list is empty, but let's update some data. So I can showcase that this is the post activities, and this is the endpoint URL, and this is the body, and here you can see that this is the JSON format. The raw is defined as like whatever the data we have for the format, it is there. So let me just give this send activities. So once you come back to this, you can see here this is the data we got updated. Now come back to get activities. You can see here the data is updated. Now comes to the let me add one more data where we can actually see that how we can actually. So let me just give AI discoveries, and instead of Delhi I'll just give Mumbai, and the duration is, let me give just 30 minutes. So let me add that once I do the post activities, obviously it will get updated into the session. So let me just check that whether it's updated or not. You can see here these are the two entries we can see. I will have AI discoveries, and this is the AI discoveries. So once you see that, let me start with this put activities. So let me copy that activities. So yeah, so once I come back and activities, so which activity you wanted to put that. So here you can see here, if I wanted to update this I love AI discovery and location Delhi, let me change to location Delhi to India. So let me just take the body. So let me just body and come to the raw, not text data. We are passing the JSON data, so we'll be giving that. So let me just instead of AI discoveries, okay, here in the AI discoveries let me just, instead of Mumbai, let me just give that India AI discoveries. I just wanted to update the location, and this is the one I wanted to update it. So let me just do this update activities. So put activities, basically the update activities on the existing data. So this is the existing data, and I have updated from Mumbai to India. Let me just check that whether it's updated or not. Yeah, you can see here the location got changed from Mumbai to India. Now let's go with the delete activities. Delete activities basically delete some of the entries. So again we need to just copy this endpoint URL, and then come back to this, and then add the activity, and then after that, yeah, for this we don't have any parameter required, so we just need to do that delete activities. Let me just give the zeroth activity we wanted to delete it. So the zeroth activity means this is the one we wanted to delete it. So let's come back to this point and just give that. So it is saying that this is the data, it got deleted, and let me confirm with the interest. So yeah, let me just go with that get activities. You can see here, this is the AI discoveries, location is India, duration is 30 minutes. It is the data got remaining, other data got deleted. This is what we have deleted it. So this is how we can perform all these activities: get, post, put, and delete activities. There would be many pillars. I'll be talking about how we can actually implement the security mechanism or basic authentication into API implementation. So previously there were no security authentication. We have implemented it in those restrict API activities. So let me walk you through how we can actually implement those security mechanism, basic authentication into our API, so that whenever we are doing the API call, it's just it will just come by set some security layer. It's, we can say that there would be some user ID and password we need to set it while API doing the API call. So that's how we generally perform that. So let's come to the Visual Studio Code, where we can actually define how we can actually implement that. So let's start with what are the libraries we require that. So if you can see here, this is the libraries. I'm just taking up the secrets and the annotated, the Pandatic and the Fast API. And under the Fast API, there are certain other subcategories of modules. I can say that the Fast API security, where we are actually taking up the HTTP basics, which is defined as the basic authentication, and the HTTP basic credential. So we are, it defines with the how we are actually storing the credentials when we are getting from the user, when user is entering any admin user ID and password. So that's how we are capturing it. Now it comes to the other API, other libraries like Ubicon, and again we'll start with the implementation. Now with the implementation, we need to create the object of it. How we can create the object of it? So just by giving the Fast API and then curly and then bracket of it, and then comes with the object creation. Again we also added one more object like HTTP basic, so that we can use that. And obviously this is from the previous videos we are seeing this. So this is where we have created the class, and under that we are storing the other variables, name, location, duration, so that we can store in under the session. So that is one, and this is the activities list we are storing it. So that is there, and again you can see that the post and the get activities. I'll not go through this. So let me just take it up the other details. So let me take this function. So once I come to this function, I'll explain what this function mean. So let me just paste it over here, and let me just paste this dependent under that other activities. So let me come to this point. I'll come to this point. I'll explain what is this is required. So let me just paste it over here. This is one, and then this is for the get activity. So I'll come to this get activities, and this is the parameter we are setting it up. So yeah, so let's come to the function. So this function get authenticated. So this is basically a function where we are doing the authentication mechanism. So for what we are doing is, this is the credential. We are creating this variable where we are giving the annotated in the term of a Python. It is basically defining or hinting what the other parameter is going to return it. Here the dependent and the security, if you see here, it is going to return the type of the class, this HTTP basic credentials. So based on that, we can say that okay, the whatever the return value, it would, the type of that, it would be in the form of HTTP basic credential. So this is how the annotated is getting used when you are not sure what kind of a data is going to come in return. Now this is the one variable where we are actually using this credential object, and then storing. And so whenever user is going to provide that user ID, we are storing to this provided user ID in that variable. And this we have set these variables, what we say, the user ID, AI discoveries, just for the namesake we can keep it any data. Or then we are using the then we are going to compare it. So we are comparing the secret, the one which the class we have defined earlier, compare digest, and the provided and the corrected one. So once it is corrected, then we can say that okay, user ID is correct. Why we are using this method of comparing is because, or why we are not using the string mechanism to compare it. In the security mechanism, there is a tick mechanism to identify whether the half of the password is correct or not, or how it is. So even hacker can identify that based on the time ticking. If the half of the password is correct, the obviously the time tick to the system take some of the time to say that okay, this is correct, this is correct, but later on some point of time it will not get corrected. So this is the tick mechanism where actually the hackers can identify that how you can actually what is the correct data by the timing mechanism. So that's why we are using this mechanism to actually compare the user ID and password. Again, for the password also the same thing we are doing it. We are storing the value provided password, and then we are setting the corrected password, and then after that we are comparing it. Once we are done with that, we are just seeing the result of it once, and according to the result, if it is not there, if everything is not there, then we are saying the exception, like okay, whatever the user ID and password you have provided, it is not correct. Otherwise we are returning the user ID, what is the user ID they are providing it. So that is there. And now when it comes to the activities, I can say that same thing would be there. The only thing is the one parameter will get added. So here we are taking the username as a just for the name purpose, so that we can take this dependent get authenticated function to be executed first, and then after that the other function need to be executed. So that's why like I'm just kind of calling this function get authenticated first, and then after that activity would be there. So it's something like callback mechanism. We are doing it in the Python. So here also in the get activities, I'm doing this the same. I'm calling the same function get authenticated. So whenever we are doing the get activities, so that is how. Now let me just save this file, and let me just run through it, and let me come to this point. So once you come back to this point, let me just activate this library. So this is the command to activate the library, and I'll just give Python security API. So once you come back to this API, so it is running. Now I'll come to this point, and once I come back and I'll open this browser, let me showcase that. So 1 2 7, here you can see that it is asking about the user ID and password. So directly it is not asking, directly it is not opening the that it is not directly opening this API. It is not doing able to do that the get activities. So let me take this this data admin, and then after that you would be able to see that. So yes. So once I do that, I can see that there is no data, so that's why I'm not able to see that. So let me just give the swagger file of it. So docs I'll give. So then obviously this you can see the post and get activities, but one more thing is getting added, the authorized thing. So before that it was not there, but yeah, once you implemented the authorization authentication, it is asking for the authentication. So now let's come to this API testing. We'll come to this postman. So what we can do that, obviously you can see that there is no authentication. So once I'll do that, sorry, let me just give 8,000, and now when I'll do that get activities, it will not work. It will say they're not authenticated. So let me just do that basic authentication, basic auth. So I already placed this data, the user ID and the password. So you can see that the user ID and password is there. And then once I do that get activity, it will give me the to status code 200, and I would be able to see some the bracket, the list data. So let me just add this some values over here. So let me just add 8. And again, even for the post activities, if I try to run, there is no authorization. So let me just add the authorization, basic auth. So obviously again, I already added for that. So let me just post it the data, post the data. So you can see there discovery location and their duration 15 minutes. So once I do that, so it is able to perform these activities. So without the authorization, it won't be able to perform any activity. So after the providing the basic authorization, it is able to do that. So now even when I do that get activities, you would be able to see that okay, there is a data is added. So yeah, this is how we can actually put activities or provide implement security for security layer for the your API. And yeah, even for the put activity and delete activities, it would be the same. The only thing you just need to add in the parameter, you just need to call that get authenticated function. Then only it will get authenticated every time when you are doing that activities. So this is a continuation of how we have implemented the APIs. So APIs along with that the security we have added as a layer. So now let's suppose we have implemented everything and now we wanted to deploy it. So where we can deploy it, like we have many options we can deploy it, like Docker, Kubernetes, and in other cloud services or anything. So but yeah, today I'll be talking about the Docker. So how we can actually deploy our application, the API which we have built locally, so that we can deploy it to Docker. So let's start with that, how we can actually deploy to the Docker. So let me just go to that the Visual Studio Code. So if you can see here, I already this is the security layer we have added it, and we have the post and get activities we have added it. So now let's suppose you wanted to do containerization of this Docker and add to that. So before that, what are the prerequisites that is required to start with? So we should have the Docker file, which I have already created it, and I have added the script as well. So I'll take you through all those script, what is the required. So this is the basic Dockerization we are going to do that. Now again, we need to get ready with this. um requirement of txt. So here we are not going to use any OpenPy Excel. So that is one we need to update it, the requirement of txt. Now let's go to the docker.file. Now before that, we need to enable your docker container. So for this, I have already taken that how we can actually install Docker for desktop, and this is the UI interface. We can see that now here you can see that there is no container, there is no images. So let me just go to that point. I have already as I explained the requirement of txt. Now come to the docker file. So here in the Docker file, you can see here these are the main concept when we are going to deploy any files or any application into the Docker. Now there would be many options we can have it, but so just for starting as a basics, we are taking those basics parameters and like kind of updating it. So let me start with the line of first. What is that? So it is just taking the what is the image we are going to use to execute our code. So here the Python 3.9 Slim we are going to take it up. So our application is not so heavy. It's just we are creating an API. So this is how that's why we are taking this Python basic version. We are taking that. Now this is the working directory. So what we in the Docker container, we need to create there would be a directory. So we need to this is the command to create uh, create the directory, and this is the directory name we need to put it over there. Now this is the copy command. Copy command is like whatever the code you are having it locally here, you need to copy it from there to the directory which we have created in the previous command. So this is one. Now again we need to run the pip install command, recommend.txt into the Docker file. So this is the next step. We are going to run it, and then we are exposing port number 8000, and then we are going to execute the command uvcon, and this is the file we are going to take it, and this is the object we have placed in that security fast API file, and this is the host, and this is the local host and port number we have defined it. So basically whatever the steps we are going to perform when we are going to execute any of the files, so obviously we require the python, then working directory, then copy all those script, and then install all those dependent libraries, and then expose the port number and then command. So this is how we basically start with that. Now let me just run through all these commands. As of now you can see here in the postman I cannot get any activities or anything, so there's nothing. I am getting that. So let me just come to this point and let's just give that docker build. So even you can see here the docker images, there is nothing over here. Docker ps, there is no container. So let me just build the container first. So let me just give docker build -t security fast API. So this is the one I need to identify, need to give that. So this is the command like docker build -t, the what is the tag name you wanted to give for your docker, and this is the what is you are going to from which directory you are going to take it up. So this is from local directory, it is going to take it up and start building it. So this is how we need to give that. So security fast API is the name, and that -t is the tag we need to define that. So once I give that, it will start building up all those docker files. So if you see here, each and everything is kind of running it, it's building that. So we'll just wait for some time. It will just perform all those activities which we have written in the docker file, and it will start executing all the commands one by one. So let's wait for that. And if you can see here, transferring the context, if and yeah, just wait for some time. Just so once you're done that, it is doing the copy activities. You can see each and every command, like what is happening exactly, and then after that you can identify, okay, this is what looks like. So this is one. So here it is installing the requirement.txt. So whatever the libraries we have, it is actually installing those libraries into the docker, and then after that once everything is done, so it is everything is installing under the docker container, docker images. So let me see that, and then just wait for some more time, so maybe 1 or 2 10 to 15 seconds. Yeah, it is taking up each and everything. Yeah, exporting to the images. Now this is done. So if you can see here, docker images, so you would be able to see that this is the security fast API images has been created 11 seconds ago. And now let me just and in the container there is no container over here. So let me just create a container and run through it. So docker container run -t -p. So run in a detached mode and publish it on port number 8000, 8000, and what is the name we have given that? So security fast API, security fast API. If you can see that the name is the image name we are taking it, and security fast API. Now once I run that, it will start running that. So if you can see that docker ps, you will be able to see that there is a application running under the container id this, and you can see that this is actually posting to the local host and everything. Now again come to the point, when it come to the testing it again, we just need to load it. Let's reload it. Yeah, you can see that you are able to see that. Let me just cancel it and run it so that it would be more clear. Okay, so now the application is running, each and every aspect is running. Now when it comes to, and if you can see that the authorized is not authorized, so if I give that, it will ask about the user ID and password. Let's come to the point where we can actually test the API. So here, if initially when I ran that, it was not giving any data. Now even when I run that get activities, obviously now it will give me some blank data, like we are getting some 200 status code and we are getting the blank data. Now when we do the post activities, obviously we would be able to do the post activities, and here you can now when come to the get activities, you would be able to see that. Now here you can see that, and obviously I'm using this authentication layer, already used that, so that is how. And when it comes to the docker, obviously you can see that there is a image, a security fast API which got created, and there is a container running over here, which is port number 8000, and this is how it works. So when you are kind of running to going to further take it to other application, you can pull it from here. Or there is another method, like you just need to publish your application to the Docker Hub. For that I need to just create an account and do sign in and register my application and to the Docker Hub, and from there I can pull it when you are going to use for the some cloud or other services. So this is how we basically deploy our application to the Docker. And yes, if you have, please comment if you have any doubt on the Docker or anything. I'll be there to help you out. And yeah, please like and subscribe to my channel, and comment if you have any queries. Thank you.